Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing great and that you're all having a fantastic day. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. A couple of weird stories, a couple of weird things happening within the cryptocurrency space. You'll see as we go into it. I'll preface that by saying it's optimistic, but also I feel like sometimes people just are different. Oh, wow. Look at First up, I'm sure none of you are going to expect this at all because it's obviously something that never ever happens. This one actually shook me because the number was so low. Usually we hear about these monstrous numbers, but everyone was apparently still excited. MicroStrategy, the Bitcoin proxy firm led by Michael Saylor, made headlines again with its latest acquisition of Bitcoin. Surprising, right? Yes, MicroStrategy. There was something, I think, a week ago that I didn't bring in a video because it was news, but not news. So apparently they're currently now trying to accumulate, amass another, I think, $2.1 billion through funding and raising and all these other kinds of things with stocks. But they said they plan on doing it in the future. So news about them planning on doing it was like, well, you haven't done it. You know, I'm planning on also making $800 bajillion, but I don't have it yet. But the other news then came out after they announced that. Apparently, they had purchased more Bitcoin, more of the stuff we've never, ever heard of. In a Monday filing with the US SEC, the company revealed that they had purchased an additional 705 Bitcoin between the 26th of May and the 1st of June. They always say they're going to raise money. They raise money. They purchase in the silence, in the darkness, behind the scenes where no one can see. Then they announce it days after that they did stuff days before. Or usually people have to look through some of the SEC filings, but typically Michael Saylor, he's known for like bragging about their purchases, bringing MicroStrategy's total holdings to 580,955 coins. This recent acquisition was made at an aggregate cost. They paid $75 million US. Must be nice. Translating to approximately, they paid $106,495 per Bitcoin. Overall, Strategy's Bitcoin investments now amount to $40 billion US, averaging around $70,000 per coin. Cool. And then their stock price also rose, as it normally does. Boom, boom. See what I did there? I was trying to Dr. Seuss it. The point of the matter is, cool. They do this all the time. This isn't anything new, but a lot of people love it. They love when there's less Bitcoin on exchanges for future generations. I guess that's something that's going around that makes people happy. Not too sure about that one. So I assume in the next couple of days, we are going to hear about their next $2 billion or so. This is crazy. Like these numbers don't make any sense. Whatever. I was going to say I can't conceptualize it, but nope, it's completely true. My mind can't imagine being able to accumulate $2 billion and just being like, oh, first of all, anyway, I could actually ramble on for several days. That's the MicroStrategy has surprisingly purchased more Bitcoin. I think there was just a news story. I have to try and find it again. I believe BlackRock is now very, 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 very closer to actually having, I believe, the second largest wallet address, or cumulative, if you will, just right behind Satoshi Sakamoto. So, yeah, that's the MicroStrategy news. And yeah, let's move on. Also, in popular news, which makes absolutely no sense, people took this as a win, and I just assume at this point it's kind of all that we can hope for. If you have not been keeping up with not only the Kardashians, but also the Fed-dashians, the Fed has basically announced multiple times, mainly Jerome Powell, that until we get some kind of clear knowledge on what's going to happen with the tariffs, he is not lowering interest rates. Until we get inflation completely under control and the job market looks squeaky clean, he's not lowering interest rates and has no intention of starting QE, quantitative easing, basically turning back on the money printer. This makes sense because the moment they activate QE or lower the interest rates, we are going to see inflation skyrocket. The people that this will benefit are people with assets. So I'm sure some of you are, patting yourselves on the back, but you forgot the other couple 100 million people who live in your country who have no assets, who would probably be a little bit peeved. So Jerome Powell has stated since around February, he has no intention of lowering interest rates. Right. Fed Chair Jerome Powell calls for clear, comprehensive crypto regulation to boost market trust. Powell has signaled no near-term interest rate cuts as inflation remains above target. Now that sounds crazy, both of them, and you know that everyone was reporting that this was like the greatest news that we have ever received. I think it just comes down to more of a realistic outlook on things. We heard from a few banks, JP Morgan, Fidelity, Bank of America, and others, that in January, February, they were anticipating between 2 to 3 different rate cuts this year. The tariffs really began in February, and that's when Jerome Powell was like, yeah, no. So as of right now, we are probably not going to see any interest rate cuts, which is totally fine. Understand, Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market don't always need a narrative to move them up. We keep hearing the ETFs have to buy more or prices won't go up. The ETFs buy more, prices go up. The ETFs have $20 million worth of outflows, prices go down. Right now, we keep hearing the futures are expiring, the options are expiring. There has to be a price gap. The price gap has to be met. Bitcoin has to go down. Bitcoin has to go higher. We keep hearing interest rates are going to get cut. If they don't get cut, Bitcoin's going to go lower, and then Bitcoin still keeps on going higher. So there's always this thing where people think that we need this ultimate mega perfect storm to be able to have any kind of positive momentum within the actual space. The main problem is the gosh darn tariffs. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that to themselves. It's the leading problem that we have in the financial world right now. So until that gets completely cleared up, we are going to continue in this actual momentum. On top of that, it says, okay, the financial world is buzzing after Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell delivered a high-stakes speech that tackled what they're calling 2 hot-button issues: crypto regulation and interest rates. His message is that the US needs clear rules for digital assets and don't expect rate cuts anytime soon. Speaking at the Fed's Division of International Finance 75th Anniversary Conference in Washington on Monday, Powell addressed the growing demand for regulatory clarity in crypto and the persistent pressure of inflation. He's not lowering interest rates. That's good. Prices for you will also remain where they are and should ideally be going lower unless we have an additional $3 trillion that's going to be printed. And because he said, listen, I'm not joking, across multiple articles, because he said we need regulation for crypto, people interpreted that as he doesn't want to ban crypto, and B, if he's calling for it, we might get more regulation, which might cause cryptocurrency markets to go higher, which is a clear mental shift from even just a couple of years ago, where a lot of people did not want, remember this? Yeah, I remember. A lot of people did not want any regulation whatsoever within this market. And now that we're getting regulation and prices are going up and institutions are moving in, now apparently it's a good thing. It's also made major news. We've had a lot of speculation for a while now that the Fed was going to cut interest rates. We heard it from a lot of different banks. I would assume June, July, August, September, I would say October or November, December is definitely the end of the year. As of right now, tariffs are not going to be cleared up anytime soon. There are rumors, depending on where you look, that apparently talks are happening and things are being discussed and things are being finalized, but nothing has been published as of yet. So I would love if this was all behind us, because it's absolute nonsense that this is happening in the first place. But now that we're in the mud, let's hope that, I was going to say the rain clears it up, but the rain would probably make more mud. That's the Jerome Powell said. No near-term interest rate cuts, because inflation is still gross. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, Paris-listed blockchain group. This is another one of those companies. I believe they were the 4th or 5th. I don't remember. Remember how I told you? We have 17, 18 companies who are announcing that they're going to be buying Bitcoin or announcing that they're going to be buying more Bitcoin. The blockchain group happened, it must have been 6 weeks ago when they first announced their foray into Bitcoin. They have stepped up their Bitcoin accumulation strategy, confirming that they purchased another 68 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin. They purchased 624 BTC on Tuesday, as it pushes to become a major institutional holder of the crypto. The latest purchase raises their total holdings to 1,437, currently valued at 150 million US dollars. The blockchain group funded most of its new Bitcoin purchases through a $63 million convertible bond issued to Fulgore Ventures, enabling the acquisition of 544 coins. It secured another 80 Bitcoin, using proceeds from a $9.8 million capital raise completed in late May. Cool. Kind of, I guess. I'm not going to root for the companies. I'll bring you the news. We'll go over and discuss it. But those coins are for the people, the literal people, like you. So I assume they're probably also trying to get to 5,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. We just heard recently that Metaplanet is 1,100 Bitcoin away from 10,000 Bitcoin. Everyone seems to be aiming for 10,000 Bitcoin or 21,000 symbolically and all that kind of stuff. So cool? Question mark. These companies keep announcing this daily. This is just the way that things are. That's the blockchain group news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, people loved this one, and I have question marks over my head. Cantor Fitzgerald. Cantor Fitzgerald has announced that they are starting their Bitcoin lending operations. Organizations, corporations, institutionalizations. For some reason, they think that Bitcoin is boring. They want Bitcoin to do more, so they're making Bitcoin do more. The olden days, we had the Lightning Network as the precursor to staking, basically being able to essentially make passive income from having your Bitcoin in the Lightning Network, getting the Satoshis as people pass through your lane. That then transformed into the idea of futures and options, and then ETFs, and then lending. Bitcoin lending was a thing years ago. However, a lot of different websites that were offering it, many of them were scams and kind of disappeared. I mean, no gigantic numbers like maybe 600 Bitcoin or whatever. It wasn't in the Mt. Gox kind of area. But now with this idea of Bitcoin needing to do something else, the idea of being able to essentially make passive income from lending out your Bitcoin is becoming big. It's starting with institutions, of course, and then at some point it will definitely trickle down to more retail, but that's probably a couple of years away. Cantor, a Wall Street investment bank, has launched its Bitcoin financing business, completing initial trades in May and planning to provide up to $2 billion in institutional lending. The service allows institutional Bitcoin holders to secure loans using their cryptocurrency as collateral. Aiming to address liquidity needs while avoiding asset liquidation, Cantor emphasized the program's focus on meeting demand from hedge funds, asset managers, and other large investors seeking structured crypto financing. As I personally am not a Wall Street something, I can't understand mentally how this could be a long-lasting operation. I understand the idea of lending companies, but lending out exclusively in Bitcoin or in crypto seems like an extra step that doesn't have to actually be there. Wouldn't the companies just go through a lending, a normal lending firm or a bank that can lend them US dollars? Do these companies need to acquire Bitcoin to be able to trade in Bitcoin, as opposed to acquiring US dollars and then using that to trade instead? But I guess, as there are many things my mind cannot comprehend. A lot of people were happy about this. They think it's going to increase liquidity and increase interest within the cryptocurrency market. The idea being, as Bitcoin intertwines further and further into the traditional financial world, basically, if Fitzgerald announces that they're doing this, other companies will do this. They'll start buying up Bitcoin. They'll start lending Bitcoin. And then I guess it is like a hyper Bitcoinization thing. We'll just be lending Bitcoin, which also is the exact opposite of what do you call it? Bitcoin maximalists want, because it creates paper Bitcoin, and then you need actual transparency to be able to do this. Because let's say a company, as I've mentioned before, says that they have 1,000 Bitcoin, and then at some point people look at their records and it shows that they're lending out 35,000 Bitcoin. You've inflated the literal number of Bitcoin out there on paper, and then Bitcoin's price itself would drop because we only know that there can only be 21 million and not 350 million. So yeah, a lot of people like this. Bless their hearts. I hope it works out for them. ? Question mark? I don't know. Okay. Let's move on. Also in news, this is happening a lot of places, but I personally wonder about the actual numbers. The crypto exchange Bitstamp is launching staking for Ether and for Cardano ADA for customers within the United Kingdom. We had news about 2 weeks ago. It wasn't Bitstamp. Was it OKX? OKX just, I believe, whatever. Anyway, another crypto exchange just allowed staking for, I think, Solana, Cardano, Ethereum. I believe it was for European customers. And then we heard that that might have been OKX. Another company basically was allowed to reopen back in the United States, and they're offering staking on their platform as well. So whatever the reason might be, I don't know why we're getting so much like staking regulation or why it took so long to be able to do so. It's not a difficult process, but who knows exactly what was going on. Crypto exchange Bitstamp has announced that UK customers can now stake their Ethereum and Cardano on the platform. Apparently, ETH will give you 3.1% and ADA will give you 1%. So it's not just me. I was looking around, even on like Ledger. If you have a Ledger, you're getting 3%. So I'll say it to you this way. I don't know why crypto exchanges do this. I understand that they require a fee. It's kind of like Coinbase. A lot of times if you're doing stuff on there, they have like 25% fees. Other people in the industry might have a 1% fee, a 3% fee, but 25 is like, whoa. So on top of that, a lot of times you like staking these coins by yourself, you get a much better return than actually using a cryptocurrency exchange. So I don't understand the appeal of if you have a ledger, you can get 3%, but if you use Bitstamp, you get 1%. Why are you taking away 66% of the money that I should be getting if I did this by myself? It says the staking process is designed to be simple and secure. I would assume so. They're not going to announce that it's difficult and terrible for your money. Allowing users to earn rewards by delegating their crypto assets to a staking node that validates transactions on the proof of stake network. Users retain full ownership of their assets. You know how you also do that? Just have a self-custody wallet. This idea of having, and I'm not knocking it because I know that some people do want to have a service like this, but this idea of constantly having to like rely on a company or an institution or a crypto exchange to do something that you can do by yourself. What's the name of that wallet? Exodus. Go to their like actual like website, official website, look it up for yourself. You can stake on your own computer. Password protected, like you are in control of everything and you get the full staking reward for what you're actually staking. So yeah, just this idea of like the whole Michael Saylor thing. Anyone who doesn't want to use a bank is crazy. And it's like, well, banks usually lie. I don't personally care for the high fees. If you can do other things, that's just me. So I don't know if this is companies gearing up for the staking from BlackRock and other institutions through their ETFs and just trying to get like ahead of the game. I can't figure it out, but staking has been a thing for a while, but I don't know why the last 5 weeks we have a bunch of companies announcing like, now you can do this with us. And it's like, yeah, we've been able to do that for a while. So that's the Bitstamp. You can now stake your Ether and Cardano. Fantastic. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Wait. Okay, wait. There we go. Okay, sorry. Apparently, a Norway-based crypto exchange by the name of Norwegian Block Exchange, that is right on the nose, has seen its stock price jump over 138% in one day. Can any of you guess why the Norwegian block exchange had their stock price rise by 138% in one day? Yeah, it was after they stated that they're going to start buying and holding Bitcoin. Surprise! The company said on the 2nd of June they had purchased 6 Bitcoin, worth $633,000, with plans to expand their holdings to 10 Bitcoin. By the end of the month, it added that it's continuing discussions to raise further capital for more Bitcoin purchases. So this is number 19. This must be number 19 who's announcing that they're getting into buying and holding Bitcoin. I will say, this isn't negative, but I will say just logically, I personally can't imagine creating a cryptocurrency exchange and not initially having had Bitcoin, Ether, or XRP already. Like I don't know how long, many years this company has been out. But if they're publicly listed, I'm going to assume it's for a while. They're now just beginning to buy and hold Bitcoin. That's like not even believing in your business model. If you are running a real estate company, I would assume that you own and hold real estate. If you are running a crypto exchange, I'm going to assume that you buy and hold crypto. That was kind of like the confusion years ago with Tether, when Tether was like, yeah, we're buying Bitcoin, and people were like, what? You can't do that. You're Tether. You can only hold Tether. It's like that kind of thing. So cool. They have a business, they have money. So I assume it's only, if their stock price keeps going up, they can also just pull a MicroStrategy and buy even more. But yeah, that's just a little bit confused by all of that. This is giving me the same kind of feeling of like Coinbase announcing that they only have like 400 Bitcoin, and it's like, you don't have to lie directly to my face. Like, it just makes it hurt a lot more. So yeah, another company, the Norwegian Block Exchange, has purchased 6 Bitcoin, and they're going to be purchasing 4 more within the next 3 weeks. Fantastic. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.